The views and opinions expressed on this program do not reflect the company, owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
It's Friday, the 13th day of August, 2021. Welcome to the Daily Hour, brought to you by Medical One Communications, Lindos, and our friends over at Channel 82, where you can stream this and many other locally produced shows. I'm Jamel Hartman, along with Michaela Ian and Sherry Vanderpool. And of course, Leanna Lambert will be with us in a bit to bring you the latest in her news break. Michaela, Sherry, it's Friday. Are you ready for the weekend?
It's Friday, yes. Hey, that's on a little like sad side. What's going on, babe?
I'm a little tired. I'll admit. I'm trying to like the eyes. I need cucumbers or something, like, you know.
That's why I put my glasses on, man. I'm tired.
Do you have an extra pair of eyes you can use, Sherry?
Yeah. The comment is right here. It's lit and right now. You'll watch it as it goes up. Yes.
I don't have that privilege. I don't have an extra pair of eyes, but thank you. Good morning, and thank you to everyone for making us part of your daily routine. A good one to close out the week as we welcome Eugene Dean of the Bermuda Freedom Alliance on. We're going to be discussing the series that they have beyond the pandemic and their response to the latest moves by the government of Bermuda. Not sure if you caught the press conference last night, but we'll touch on that as well. The daily plays the feud. So number one answers only from these two. And if you've never seen them in action, they are, well, they're competitive.
I'll be up and
that's all I'm
ready. I'm ready for that.
Oh, you're ready? Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, it's two of them. And look, hold on.
Hey, Lord.
Did you see yesterday, Sherry?
Oh, this is what we're good?
Oh, yes, I did.
Oh, I did.
I did.
Audience, if you didn't see yesterday, I'll just tell you, go on our Instagram story and see something. You'll see something very interesting on our Instagram story if you haven't already.
I was like, Michaela. I mean, I didn't know the answer. So,
listen, and I'm sitting here like, where is the answer?
Yeah.
But Jamel, you have to admit, I mean, Michaela and Larry did like stomp you like in the first few minutes of your show the day before, like, you know. So this kind of like, so she didn't get one. Okay,
so hold on.
Thank you, Sister Sherry.
Hold on. That Wednesday was just illegal. How they guessed that? That was just illegal. And
now it's illegal. Now it's a real. Now it's a real Michaela.
That was illegal.
Listen, Wednesday was a vibe, okay? That was hilarious. Did you see the look on his?
Oh, I did.
Me and Larry, no.
Folks, if
he was as the children say, a mad. He was mad.
If you didn't see Wednesday, what happened was we had Flora Duffy on. You know, in the beginning, I tell you, like I just did, the daily play will be a song, and all I said was it'll be dedicated to today's guest, Flora Duffy. That's your hint. And these two. Yes. The first song I was gonna do was Buju Champion, right?
Walk like a champion, talk like a champion.
I said, no, they ain't gonna get that. Then I said, okay, I'm gonna do Queen, the other champion. And Michaela guessed that, and then Larry said I was gonna guess it. And I'm like, all right, I see what I'm going to do with this game now. But anyway, let's move on. Carla John says Michaela looks like she is tuning in from a white party. Well, you know.
I wish I was at a white party, Carla.
We can turn it into a white party. But look, here's the question of the day. Yesterday, there was some very interesting people on an RG story. And I think it's time to ask this question. there was a couple of articles about tourism in Bermuda and BTA, and one in particular with Charles Jeffers II, who is the CEO of the Bermuda Tourism Authority. And I will say, I don't read many of the comments unless I'm there for entertainment at times. But someone had sent me a WhatsApp and drawn me to the comments that were under the story. And I'm not going to repeat what they were actually saying, right? But I think with the sensitive nature of the previous CEO, and I'm not talking about the interim one who was Glenn Jones, but the one previous CEO, I'm not quite sure we saw the kind of comments that were allowed from Mr. Jeffers about that previous CEO. I'm not sure we were allowed to question that person who was the previous CEO. And I'm not talking about Bill Henberry either. I'm talking about the previous CEO.
Yes.
The second CEO of the BTA. Right?
Yes.
So it was very, and unless something's changed, because Mr. Bill Zool did write saying, thanking me for putting a post and bringing it to their attention, right? And he said the comments have been removed. But if I'm not mistaken, many years ago when we were fighting conscription, and I used to use my real name, right, to write on comments and defend myself and my name and my colleagues in that group, I'm pretty sure those comments were filtered. Not every comment got on the website. So my question to the RG or anyone who may know how it works is, how did those comments even make it onto the site is my question. But here's the question of the morning, folks. Is it time to get rid of anonymous commenters on news websites?
Listen. I'm going to just say this real quick. I feel like everyone is entitled to have their own opinion. And as my godmother told me years ago, an opinion is like an a-hole. Everyone has one. I'll never forget that. You're entitled to your opinion. However, if you want to be nasty, use your name.
Yeah.
Use your name. And if you want to give a critique or you want to, say something about somebody, how about we be intelligent and use intelligent commentary and not try to attack the way someone looks. Like, why are you going there? That's like, oh, you're in an argument with somebody, but you're ugly. Okay.
Personal attacks were just,
or, but you're fat.
Yeah.
Or you need braces.
Yeah.
Okay. Like, that's the best you got? Like, you want to come on a news site and run your mouth, and the best you got is you're ugly.
Yeah.
Really?
And that's the thing, Michaela. People use this as a scapegoat and use it as a shield to be able to say all these things that they don't have the audacity or the nerve to be able to say it to their face. If you're gonna say, for me, I'm like, yeah, I said it. Yeah. And what? And it's not a personal attack against, like you said, what you look like or what you're doing or whatever. If I'm gonna have an opinion about it, you stand firm in your opinion and what it is that you like, dislike, or whatnot. But to then go ahead and talk about all of the other stuff, it's like, please. But yeah, take the mask off and say what you want to say, or don't say it at all. If you can't stand behind what it is that you believe in, then what's the point?
Yeah. This is the thing. It's so cowardly. And like over the years, I've gotten myself in trouble going back and forth with people on Facebook. But let me tell you.
I was going to say the same. I was like, you, Michaela?
No, not me. I'm meek and mild. I have no opinion.
You?
No, but seriously, like I will come hard and I will always use my name. It'll never be like, oh, who is that? No. I will come hard. I will come guns blazing, and it will say Michaela Ian.
Yeah. Let's go to the comments. Sean Smith says yes, and yes again. He believes it's time to get rid of the anonymous commenters. Terry Too Cool says, been time to get rid of anonymous comments. We already have bots to deal with. David Michael Wilson Sherry.
Anonymity should only be used when you are generalizing. When we are being specific, you allow yourself to be open and lose your anonymity. Did I say that right? I think I did.
Anonymity, yeah, that's what it is.
Terry Too Cool.
Agree, Sherry. Stand firm in your opinion. People would disagree no matter your view, to be honest. Exactly.
And Sean Smith says, put your name and have you know what and have you know what have you know what and stand behind what you say. Okay. I was trying to understand it while I read it, but I get your point. Laverne, Amanda, Kelly, Michaela.
If one can't stand behind their words, it shows your true character. If you can't say it face to face, it is problematic. 100%, Laverne. 100%.
Sherry.
I really see the need for anonymous posting for folks who may be in physical danger for standing up for an unpopular opinion, but there has to be a way to verify people.
Yeah. And Michelle White says, what called someone ugly? A public person? Stand up and account for your comments. Yes. Well, I think that was my problem. So I honestly, I do feel like we're living in a different time. And the late Laverne Ferber, I remember having a conversation with her one time, and she told me why people choose to remain anonymous. And she explained back in her day, if you shared your opinion on certain things, you would blackballed and treated a certain way. But I think the difference there is that was based on your livelihood in terms of, your politics and so on. This is literally personal attacks. Like, and I don't want to repeat some of the comments, but like what someone looks like, whether it's their weight, their height, their like Michaela said, whether they need braces or glasses or comparing them to someone like that, it was unbecoming.
It was,
one of the things I never did. You guys knew. I mean, I hated everything about anyone who was associated with the Bermuda Regiment when we were fighting conscription. But I never ever personally attacked people.
No.
Like under anonymous names. Like I would not do that. Like I've been accused of writing under what they call anonymous names. I don't have one. Like I legit, folks, if I have something to say, one of the things about me, I am okay dealing with the consequences of my actions. I am. Many people aren't. I am okay. I understand that my big mouth may get me in trouble. I understand that I may say things that other people, most people won't agree with. And I'm okay with that because I actually believe in a lot of the stuff that I say. And if I'm proven wrong, I have no problem retracting. I believe we have created a culture, right, that people have this, and we can't blame social media because without social media, this has been happening on news sites forever. You can go on Yahoo stories back in the early 2000s when all the news stories and people were writing what they choose in chat groups way before like personal social media pages. But I think we're living in a time where it's can we say what's catfish? Is catfish like when somebody creates a
pretend?
So catfish when you pretend to be somebody else,
right? Like I think that's what happens. They're creating this catfish.
I don't think it's catfish. I think it's trolling. And I think what happened, I feel like this has happened in Bermuda for a while. Like it's happened for years now. Usually the most popular comments come on the Royal Gazette site because Royal Gazette tends to do stories, whereas Burn News is more of an information site. So you don't really get this sort of back and forth in the comments. But in my opinion, in the last 5-6 years since Donald Trump has been emboldened to say whatever he likes, and has, riled up his MAGA folks to be able to say whatever they like, I feel like it's exploded. I'm not going to sit here and say that, there are Trump followers, MAGA people in Bermuda who are commenting on Royal Gazette. They might be, I don't know, but that's not what I'm saying. My point is that people feel like they can say whatever they want now.
I would slightly disagree with you, though, because I think 4 years ago in 2016, people were afraid to admit they were a Trump supporter. Right now, like as of the last 2 years, I think people would put their name on what they're saying. Like they have no fear saying I support Trump. I think that's the place where I would I do agree that people are emboldened, but I think there's a difference between them being anonymous and not. People right now, you almost have to be anonymous if you're not a Trump supporter in certain spaces. Whereas right now, it's popular it's the populist thing. Like it's they would put their name on their comment regardless of what they put.
Yeah, no, I feel you. I just mean that people have this whole, like, they're emboldened to just say whatever they want. Like, it doesn't even matter anymore. It used to be a society where, especially in Bermuda anyway, people were a little bit more courteous and whatever. Now it's just like, people just say anything, like anything about anyone without even any thought to what they're saying.
My issue is this, like, separate. For me, I separate things. Business is business and personal is personal. And if I have an issue with you against your business, or we have a difference of opinion in regards to business, it doesn't affect me with you personally. And when you start to mix the two and start personally attacking people about what they look like, what they do, and all of that, what does that have to do with the business? And people don't tend to be able to separate the two and be mature about it.
Yeah.
And it's definitely a difference. You know, when Jamal feels like he's got things going on and I'm like, whatever, you know, I'll sit down and have a Heineken Zero if I'm like, you know what I'm saying? Or, you know, we could do that. But like at the end of the day, it's a separate, you have to separate those things. And when
I
you
don't think
comment,
it's separate.
Yeah.
I don't think it's separate anymore. I feel like lines have blurred completely.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I feel like there's so many people who are, you know, in the public space, whether you have your own platform, whether you're doing influencing work, whether you are the face of your business and what you do. I feel like the lines have completely blurred. For instance, let's use Donald Trump again. Donald Trump as a president is his business or whatever. Donald Trump as the president. I'm not separating those two things.
Right. No, but she's right. And people have literally boycotted his businesses.
I won't stay at his hotels or anything.
Some people will say, I'm not staying at a Trump hotel because they don't agree with his politics. So I think the lines have been blurred. It has changed a bit. Jason Smith says, if you can't earn it openly, is it worth saying anonymously? I mean, again, back to Carla John's point, some people have to protect where they stand. And there's numerous examples over the years of it. Terry Too Cool says, I was just going to say,
yes,
there was a cultural shift. The culture of trolling is problematic. Everyone appears to want to go viral. Rashida Godwin.
I think it's important to realize that people still think this way, and we have to be aware of it because many of us want to live in blissful ignorance and be inclusive, but none of this behavior has gone away. That's the point.
Yeah,
that whole inclusive thing. Carol Griffith sharing.
Let's face it, for a long time, people have had a lot of biases, prejudices, and social media has made it easy for them to feel safe to spew their venom behind anonymity. I feel like you're just trying to give me that word. Like
I ain't even seen it. I ain't even seen it. Carla Jones says the amount of Trump supporters in Bermuda is a little shocking. Why? Bermuda's a conservative country.
It's shocking because we claim to be that which we are not.
Yeah,
I think that's why it's a little shocking.
I think it was more shocking to me to see the amount of Bermudians that supported Obama, knowing that you wouldn't agree with his politics. I think many Bermudians supported him because they saw a black face. Bermuda is traditionally a conservative country. Bermuda is traditionally not a liberal country. So supporting Obama was more shocking than supporting Donald Trump, to be honest. That's just me. I mean, if you really look at the history and the mindset of Bermudians when it comes to politics and policy and legislation, I mean, we don't have to look far. I mean, let's just take one issue. Look at Obama's stance on marriage of same sex versus Bermudians traditionally. Like Bermudians are not liberal people. Like,
no, and I think they try to be. I think
exactly. You described it very well, Michaela.
Yeah, I think that Bermudians think that we're liberal, you know. I think that Bermudians are like, you know, we're not, you know, all the way over there, right-wing Republican sort of vibe. But in reality, Bermuda is a very conservative country. We are led by church.
Yeah, and that's why it puzzles me. Like I'm telling you, when I saw Bermudians jumping around and supporting the likes of Obama, I'm like, but you all don't even agree with this man's policy. Like, what is it? It's like you can't say that to Bermudians because it's like this is real, folks. This is real. Like at the end of the day, I've said it on the show and I'll say it again. I'll put it on a shirt. I think liberal and conservatism is garbage. It's trash. It has no bearing on my life. It makes my life no easy as a black man. I will say it over and over. Both of them can go in the next bin next to me.
That's a lot on a shirt.
Like, that's not even like concise.
What? No, they're both trash. We can leave it at that. Conservative, liberal, they're both trash to me.
Listen, I'm liberal. I'm very liberal. I'll take my liberal.
And you know who you are, but there are people who think they're liberal and they're anything but. It's like,
agree.
I just said this and you disagree. Like that's the most conservative. Anyway, but again, you know who you are, and I appreciate that. It's not about knocking, who you are and what you believe. Look, people say I'm rude. Okay, I accept who I am. I'm not going to argue with you and tell you I'm not.
You, Jamal?
I don't think I'm rude. I just think I am a different.
It's called
anyway,
having strong opinions and
Mhm.
people not being able to handle it.
yeah,
What it is.
They call me aggressive. Me?
You're not aggressive, you?
Have you seen her join the feud? Shoot. Lee, you don't think I'm rude, do you? Oh,
He ain't got nothing to say. Sip that tea, sis. Yeah, sip that
so Lee,
tea.
what are your thoughts? You've been doing news for about a decade or so, right? What are your thoughts? Is it time to remove the commenters, the anonymous commenters? What are your thoughts?
Yes, stand for what you have to say.
All right.
Hands down. If you believe that wholeheartedly, and I understand, and I'm not going to sit here and say that I don't understand that you need to separate business from personal. I do understand that. And obviously, Michaela could attest to being a journalist and sometimes having to be unbiased. However, Michaela voices her opinion on a daily basis as a journalist. And I feel like, we have come into a society whereas, your personal opinion, you're always attacked for your personal opinion these days. We have become a soft society, but I feel like those personal attacks, like say what you have to say as don't hide behind a mask, don't hide behind a screen. If you mean it, say it. I feel like the best era in whatever generation was the fact that when people were able to stand up and view the Malcolm X, Martin Luther King,
I mean, mind you, there were consequences. They were assassinated.
But I wouldn't take away
I was
that
like, they dead.
But her point is, and I remember. No, seriously,
I know where you stand. I know where you stand.
Yeah, no, I get you, Lee. I get it.
That's about believing in your convictions. That's what you're saying, folks. Like, if you believe in what you're doing so far, those are the consequences. But again, do we really believe in all? So I appreciate you saying that, Lee. Seriously, I get you. Actually, let's not forget the news break. So look, before the news break, our last show before Lee turns a new age, and we'll sing Happy Birthday when you're done with the news.
Yes, we will.
Yes.
With Stevie Wonder one, right?
Yeah, let's do that. All right, over to you, Lee.
Thanks, Jamal, Michaela, and Sherry. TGIF to everyone that's tuned in with us this morning. We made it to the end of the week. I hope everyone is having a great start to their morning. I'm Leanna Lambert, and it's time for our daily hour news break. Well, here's what's going on in today's top stories. Unvaccinated persons can breathe a little easier as news came last night that travelers will be able to spend a portion of their quarantine in the comfort of their own home. Now, as of Monday, August 23rd, unvaccinated travelers would need to produce a valid pre-arrival test and spend their first days at a designated hotel facility. Now, after the receipt of a 4-day negative test result, they will be allowed to go home where they will quarantine until receiving a day 14 negative test, however, with an electronic monitoring device. Now, those without a pre-arrival test would need to quarantine in a hotel until receiving a day 8 negative result and 14. Speaking at last night's press conference, Premier David Byrd said that the changes are coming on the heels of progress in the island nearly reaching 75% of a vaccinated population. Meanwhile, in other coronavirus-related news, 5 clusters of COVID-19 outbreaks around the island have been confirmed. Health Minister Kim Wilson revealed the findings last evening, calling them quote unquote concerning. She said the largest cluster numbered about 25 people and added that it appeared to have come from breaches of health restriction protocols. 10 people accounted for another cluster, while another was 9, but Ms. Wilson said more details will be revealed in upcoming court proceedings. A compliance officer or a former police officer has been hired by the Ministry of Health to put together a file over the breaches. Now, Ms. Wilson said that the island now had 92 active cases with 89 under public health monitoring. Police yesterday revealed the images of 2 suspects believed to be involved in a shooting incident on Court Street earlier this month. The attack was carried out by 2 men on a motorcycle on Monday, August 2nd, and left a 31-year-old man and a 73-year-old bystander in hospital with multiple gunshot wounds. Following the shooting, the suspects rode off on a dark-colored motorcycle heading east along Court Street and over Tills Hill. Now, the rider is said to have worn a black helmet with tinted visor, a black jacket, dark-colored pants, and black sneakers with a white sole. The passenger, who police believe is to be the gunman, also wore a black helmet with a tinted visor, a green jacket with a white strip on the sleeves, dark pants, and distinctive white Nike sneakers with the word air in bold black uppercase letters on them. Now, police are appealing for witnesses to the incident and urge persons to contact the main line or Confidential and Crime Stoppers hotline on 800-8477. And all roads lead to the Sea Breeze Oval at Bailey's Bay Cricket Club tomorrow as Cleveland County go head-to-head against St. David's Cricket Club in the second match in the Eastern County Cup Series. Now, persons interested in attendance are reminded that this is a safe key and ticketed event. However, if you can also turn into live broadcast of the match with the Voice of Summer on Hot 107.5, as well as Power 95. Digicel will also be streaming live on their Digicel Play Go app and Digicel Plus TV on Channel 20. Taking a look at today's weather, we have a high near 86 and a low near 80 degrees. Today, we'll see bright weather with a couple of showers and a chance of an afternoon rumble. Now, light winds may fall calm at times as a localized high-pressure cell drifts nearby over the next few days. As sunshine heats the island and moisture remains about, cloud development overhead becomes more likely, with the potential to produce daytime showers along with a rumble or two of thunder, particularly during this afternoon. Nonetheless, expect the typical August heat and humidity levels to continue. That's all for our daily hour news break. Let's head back to Jamal, Michaela, and Sherry in the studio for what should be a great daily focus.
All right, Lee, let me warm my voice up.
I want to hear that harmony.
Yeah.
I want to hear that harmony.
Okay. Okay.
Who's gonna start? Should I start?
In 5, 4, 3, 2. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday to you. Yeah.
Happy
birthday to you. Happy birthday.
Hold
It
on.
was with you, Michaela. I was with
No,
you.
you were behind. Okay,
I
ready?
wasn't.
All right, ready?
Jamal better tune
Okay,
in.
ready?
Three,
3, 2, 1. Happy birthday to
to
you.
you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday.
All right. I think we're getting Liana's birthday weekend off.
I don't know what happened to these two.
I think we're getting Liana's birthday weekend off to a bad start. So that's it.
It was
That's it.
Daphne Jamal.
Lee, I promise you. Next year we're gonna actually practice this before we get to this, and there's gonna be more synergy. We didn't have that much time to practice this year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At the end, I was singing to you by myself at the end.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened.
I pulled a hamstring, but we're gonna. We have to run. But Lee, have yourself a great birthday weekend. Please do enjoy yourself and be safe. All right.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
My apologies for these two singing.
I'm gonna go out there and pray for all of you.
Thanks, Musty. Have a good one, Lee. See you soon.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
All right, make sure you share some love with Liana. If you see her over the weekend, please do. Really proud and thankful to have her as part of the team. And when she comes back, she will be another year wiser. That's what we're gonna say, right? You'll stick with
Yes.
Yeah.
We'll be right back. We've got Eugene Dean, Bermuda Freedom Alliance. Stick with us.
Mom's celebrating her 70th birthday next month. Have you noticed her age is catching up with her?
Yeah. Plus, she's having a hard time getting up and around like she's used to. I would sure hate to see her fall.
At Medical House Limited, we can help make life situations easier. We have electric beds, motorized scooters, bath stools, walkers, you name it.
Mom's been real good to us. We'll get her birthday and Christmas gifts from Medical House.
Medical House has relocated next to the Dendy Town Field, number 6 Bakery Lane, Pembroke. Telephone 292-3622.
We're welcoming back the often featured Whole Food veterans Bragg Live Food Products, renowned for their live probiotic organic raw cider vinegar and savory seasonings. Paul Bragg is the man behind the products and has originated health food stores, restaurants, and spas, and promoted nutrition education through the media, helping lay the foundation for the enlightened way we make healthful choices when we shop for and prepare food. This month we're featuring Bragg Organic Raw and Unfiltered Apple Cider Vinegar and Organic Extra Virgin Olive Oil. Lindo's, why go anyplace else?
All right, welcome back to the big show. It is Michaela and Sherry Vanderpool and myself, Jamel Hartman. The Daily Hour brought to you by Medical House, One Communications, Lindo's, and our friends over at Channel 82. You can stream this and many other locally produced shows. Without further ado, let's bring in our guest for the day, Eugene Dean of the Bermuda Freedom Alliance. Good morning, my friend. How are you?
Greetings. Give thanks. I'm good, you know?
Yeah, we're not going to sing a song to and bring you in. We just
because Jamal's terrible. Jamal can't sing.
Look, I felt like I turned to like. I told him about my dancing skills, and I'm telling them it transfers to my singing, but they didn't believe me. So, look, they get what they get, man. But look, thank you for doing this. Always appreciate a good chat with you. A lot going on. But speak to those who don't know. Just explain how and why was the Bermuda Freedom Alliance created?
Yeah. Well, first of all, greetings, Sherry and Michaela as well.
Morning.
Thank you, Mal, for having me on the show. Yeah, actually, to be honest with you, I wasn't a part of the formation of the Bermuda Freedom Alliance. I was actually asked to assist a few months ago. It had already formed, and but the formation came out of concerns in the community and people feeling like they didn't have a voice, that they weren't being understood, and actually in many cases being dismissed or disrespected, because we have all gone through a sustained period where there's been a very, I guess, narrow view or narrative. And anyone who was outside of that view was just kind of like dismissed and left unrepresented. So in a quest for representation, you know, people started to talk to each other and started to form something so that there'd be some support for those people who were left unsupported. And that's where the Bermuda Freedom Alliance was really born out of. And I guess the division that's been happening in the country, not just in Bermuda, but all around the world, the discrimination, you know, the fact that there hasn't been, you know, people haven't been included. So even when you think about mandates being put down, you know, I know personally in all the conversations I've had with stakeholders all over the country, whether they be, you know, hospital staff, whether they be police officers, whether they be business owners, people in the hospitality industry, people in construction, people in all, you know, entrepreneurs, people are like, okay, can someone just come and talk to me? So we can develop some understanding about how these mandates are impacting me and people like me. You know, can we have a forum where we can actually express concerns that we have with how things are being handled or not handled? You know, is there any forum for open conversations? Are we allowed to have different views, or is everyone just meant to just agree with whatever is being said by the government and mainstream media? So that's where the formation came from. That's where the whole movement came from. And Bermuda Freedom Alliance has been a consistent presence within that. But there have been all sorts of groups and entities that have formed, you know, doing a lot of different things. You know, I mean, everyone knows about the court case that happened. That was a whole like separate group that put together the court case. But people have been trying to rally to provide support, because they've been very uncomfortable with the situation, you know?
Absolutely. And we have like a ton of questions to get through. So I don't want you to feel like you have to pack it all in one time.
Okay, all right, cool. That's good.
So what I really want to know is, what are your main concerns with how the government has handled the COVID crisis? And what would you or the group have done differently from the outset?
Well, the main thing is just to talk to people. That's it. A lot, you know. So for me personally, it's more about the process than the outcome, because I find that when you get the process right, the outcome takes care of itself. You know, so generally what you have is you have people on one side, people on another. And so in most cases in life, we find that you have these win-lose scenarios. So everybody's rooting for their position. Whoever's the strongest wins, the other side loses. Well, in an ideal scenario, everybody brings all their concerns to the table, and then we come up with new solutions that not only address the concerns that one group of people have, but it addresses everyone's concerns. So for me, and for most people, the concern is the process. Now, we can get down into the specifics of it, but the key thing is to identify how we got to the divisiveness in the first place. And it's the process that led to that. You know what I mean? So that's what I would say is the major concern, you know, because now you have all these unintended consequences.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. You just have, and that's the thing. And when you're not taking in consideration all the factors, it's very difficult to avoid unintended consequences. And so that's what we have. You know, I'm sure the government didn't intend to cause all this hardship for different groups of people, but nonetheless, that's what's happened. So I say to people all the time that love requires understanding. Understanding requires listening and engagement.
Right.
You see what I mean? So we could have the intention to love someone, and then we can actually do that person harm because of what we don't understand about the scenario. So that's the key thing for me in terms of the difference is all to do with the process.
Yeah, no, I totally respect and understand that. And I think a lot of people would definitely agree with that viewpoint. So how do you feel about the changes the government announced last night to the mandatory hotel quarantine for unvaccinated travelers? Is that something that you are applauding, or is it still not enough?
Well, it could be said that it's a movement in the right direction. The fact that there has been a change, I guess, shows that there is some listening potentially going on. It's a bit concerning the angle that's being used, because the angle that's being used is around the fact that the numbers for vaccinations have increased. I'm not sure how much those numbers have increased in the past 2 weeks or the past month. It doesn't appear that there's been any substantial movement in that area. So a lot of these stats seem very similar to what these stats were weeks ago when people were pushing back, but now all of a sudden there's justification for making a change. The biggest concern I have for it is that there's no conversation about what happens with persons who have had the jab coming in, because by virtue of government stats, the latest stats, 70% of the cases coming into the island came from people who have already had the jab. And so this is another thing where it's like we pick the parts of the conversation or the data that's convenient, and the other parts just get ignored. So, you know, I guess the short answer would be, okay, yes, it's nice to have some movement. However, in terms of the process, I still feel like there's avoidance to data that's right there, while attention is being given to other data because that more supports the narrative that the government is driving.
Can I jump in? Let me jump in. I really want to say this because when I was working in the Bermuda Tourism Authority, right, I used to always say, you all keep thinking that the data you're given should just be accepted. But what you're not understanding is numbers. The idea that numbers don't lie is such a lie. Like the fact that people still believe this really. So when you say that about the data, I'm like, folks, statistics and numbers tell the story that people want you to believe. So what I mean by that is, do you realize when there's an election happening, if there's two political parties, they can literally both use the same numbers to tell completely different stories? Case in point, Rick Olson, who watches the show often, tagged me in something yesterday. and it was the Royal Gazette had two different stories about tourism. One was saying tourism numbers are somber. The other one was saying tourism is bouncing back, right? So he asked me, what do I believe? So I said, Rick, both of them are true. And I explained, I said, this is why both are true. I said, one, tourism numbers are likely not good, right?
Mm-hmm.
But two, based on occupancy, they're doing great. So I only say that, right? You know, because I want people not to just listen to what you're saying and be like, oh, it's just Eugene Dean, or like listen to, put your bias aside, and you can take what he's saying with any situation that's fed to us traditionally and question numbers. But to be honest, we are so conditioned to believe that numbers don't lie that we don't question numbers, because once we hear data, then once we hear science, we just take it and we're like, okay, this is what it is. Folks, I was in an organization, I was a part of an organization, and telling them, but these numbers are not telling the whole story. These numbers are not true. No, this is not me saying I agree or disagree with Mr. Eugene Dean. This is me saying, no, because I don't have any, I haven't taken a position in all of this, because I literally have not paid as close attention. What I'm saying is I want people to put their bias aside and to really listen to what he's saying in that respect. That's what I'm trying to say, because too many times we develop our opinions based on what we want to believe, and that happens on both sides. All right, sorry, that's all I want to say. I know it was
and sometimes numbers aren't always provided for us. I'm just saying. But Eugene, do you believe that the changes were coming, or do you feel that because of the efforts of persons associated with the Bermuda Freedom Alliance that those changes came a lot sooner? When you talk about
it depends. Well, yeah, I guess, you know, it depends on who you ask, what answer you'll get for a question like that. You know, obviously the government will give the impression. That's what I said. So their narrative is that these changes are coming as a result of increases in vaccinations on the island. And, you know, I'm not sure. They haven't really released that data, but it doesn't appear that there's been much movement on that side. So yes, the movement is having an impact. That's very clear. A lot of things have gone relatively quiet. There was a lot of like propaganda, was a lot of like commercials and ads. It was over the top for a period of time, and a lot of that has kind of slowed down. So it's clear that the leadership in the country are having to give a lot more thought to what they're doing now. Things are not as just. It seemed like we were in this period where just every and anything was just being done, you know, and not a lot of thought was being given to it. So I feel like the movement has definitely had an impact. But again, I'll make it clear, if you ask someone from government, I'm sure they would have a totally different answer.
Right. So what changes would you, on behalf of the Bermuda Freedom Alliance, recommend for government's policy?
Well, actually, we, you know, over a month ago, gave a full list of recommendations to the government that was handed directly to the premier outside of the cabinet building. And I mean, the biggest concern overall is the fact that we have these emergency orders in place.
Yeah.
And everything is kind of hinged on the emergency order. So if you're just looking to just clear things up, then you just remove the emergency orders. And then it restores some sense of normalcy, because all the new mandates are hinged on these emergency orders. Even when you deal with the police, you know, when you talk about this mandatory hotel quarantine, which is kind of like one of the low-hanging fruit, I think that's something that, you know, most people in the country are challenged to come to terms with. You know, I've yet to really find any people who really genuinely support that in any numbers, you know, yet. So that's something that's easy. And it's a number of reasons. People have a lot of different reasons for not agreeing with it. You know, it's not that people feel that nothing should be done, but like, did we have to really do that? Is that really the only way that we can do it? You know? And so it's the fact that we're not addressing natural immunity. That's another thing in this country, because there are other places like in America where people have their antibody status stamped in their passport, and they just go through clear. They're considered to be immune. And then you start getting into the details of, what is the actual definition of immunity? Because we're using these terms, immunized and non-immunized, but then we're saying that people who have had the jab are still catching the virus and passing it on. So that's a contradiction in itself. So again, when you talk about what we would like to see, it's really just opening up and starting to have a real conversation about the concerns that people have. And like I said, I feel like we would get to the results that are in the best interest of the country if everyone comes to the table genuinely. That's really it. A lot of times, and that's why I said it's really like a focus on the process. But if you just wanted to say what are we looking for overall, just get rid of the emergency powers.
But to your point, though, I just want to go back because I challenged Michaela on this the other day. Not challenge her as she disagreed, but like asked her the question. I don't believe I've ever heard anyone say. I could be wrong. I don't take too much in, but I don't think I ever heard anyone say that a person who's been vaccinated can't catch the virus or pass it on.
I was just about to say that.
All I've ever heard in my space was that having the vaccine, you'll have reduced symptoms versus someone that doesn't. And I think that's part that really gets lost on people because it's like, for those who don't agree, they've taken this and they've tried to use it as an argument. And I think it's really distorted their position because that's never really been said in medical spaces publicly, unless you can tell me where. But I just think it doesn't strengthen the disagreement with the vaccine because no one's ever said, at least in my space where I get my information, that you can catch it and pass it on. What they've said, it would reduce the symptoms. So
to that point, right? That's why I just brought up what is the definition of immunized. So anybody can look at that. And so what I'm saying is that we're using the term, but it doesn't really fit the purpose in this case. Now, the reason the point about the jab comes up is because the rationale given for persons who have yet to have the jab being locked in a hotel room for 2 weeks is because they're a risk to public health. And that risk is based on the fact that it's being said that they can catch and spread the virus. So if you getting the jab doesn't stop you from catching and spreading the virus, then what is the difference? So it comes down to it. Like, look at this scenario. You had an adult traveling with 2 children. They performed they were in a competition, sports competition. They come back to the island, right? The 2 children are both under the age, they're under 17. The adult, right, had the jab. So one of the children was hers. That child was able to get their arrival test and be out as soon as they got a negative result. The other child that had been with them the whole time, right, wasn't the adults. And that child's parents haven't had the jab. So that child had to be in quarantine for 14 days. Their parents didn't even travel. And then you get into situations where it's like, okay, so if I haven't had the jab, I go to a hotel for 2 weeks. But if someone who has tests positive, they can quarantine at home. So it gets into a situation where you're saying, okay, so you can trust people who have had the jab, but you can't trust people who haven't. It's just discrimination because what is the practical basis, the scientific basis, the logical base? Where is it? And those are the things that are not being addressed. So if we could just have real conversations about that, then that would help to put us in a much better situation. I think
Michaela and I talked about that. I think we actually both agree with you as it relates to the whole hotel what was it called? Hotel quarantine. I think that right there is probably one of the strongest arguments that I think most people agree with. I don't think I definitely think and don't correct me if I'm wrong. What did they say last night in the press conference that they were changing that?
So basically, as of August 23rd, so not Monday, the following Monday, if you are not vaccinated, you have to go to the mandatory hotel quarantine until you get a negative day 4 test. Once you get a negative day 4 test, you are released to quarantine at home. And that's based on a negative arrival test. If you go home, everyone in your home must quarantine as well.
Okay.
So that again, is another concern because, look at the impact that and these are the unintended consequences. So now you live with other people. And as a result of you traveling, who knows what you travel for, right? It could have been like you might not even have wanted to travel. It could have been like, it could have been medical, all sorts of reasons. But anyway, you come home and now everyone in your household is not able to work because they have to stay in. So these are the things. So what about the economic impact of the mandates? Now that's where we're going into beyond the pandemic series next. We're starting to talk to people in the private sector and entrepreneurs because that's another thing that we feel like has been totally overlooked. We've been talking about health risks. What about the economic and the social impacts? Like, where's the conversation around that? And so when people are not hearing that conversation, when there appears to be little to no concern about those elements, then that is what has people again concerned. That's why people are rallying, because these things are having real impacts on people.
Absolutely. But I just feel like on the other side, like if we're playing devil's advocate, like if you don't have a health risk and your doctor has recommended you get the vaccine, wouldn't it just be easier? Do that.
Yeah, but so when the CDC comes out and when Fauci comes out and says that, the viral load in someone who's had the jab and somebody who hasn't had the jab in reference to the Delta variant, which apparently is all the cases now, is exactly the same, then the recommendation to get the jab brings what value?
Because
now we're talking about a booster shot. So this is where I'm saying now we're talking about a booster shot.
I saw that.
So then you're going to the booster shot. Then what comes after? So it's not here. I'm not here saying that one person's right or wrong. I'm just saying if somebody's concerned, we need to stop condemning people for being concerned because the concerns are valid.
So let me ask you. Go ahead, Jerry, go ahead.
And I was gonna say, but let me ask you this, Eugene. What role or what responsibility do just the people of Bermuda have for, the beginning of the pandemic, following the recommendations, stay at home, don't mix households. When you travel, don't go straight home and quarantine. And when those things weren't followed through, what else are we supposed to do? So what responsibility do Bermudian people have in regards to possibly where we are right now, just as a whole?
Well, I think that in the beginning, Bermudians tend to comply, right? And that's what we did in the beginning, regardless of whether the methods were effective or not. They appeared to be effective because we didn't really have any cases, and then we opened up the airport and all of a sudden we started having cases. But see, this is another thing. We're picking and choosing the data. So a year and a half ago, this was an extremely deadly virus. Now we have data. So they're saying that the mortality rate, right, is just marginally higher than flu. This is what the data is saying. This is not made up because now we have time to have data, but we're still dealing with it like the time at the beginning when we didn't know what the mortality rate of it really was. So it's as if there's this total avoidance of the data. So if it's such a deadly virus, why are we taking 9,000 something tests, right, to get 30 something positives? Like, what testing out of the yang for this thing? Like, people don't even know they have it. Then you got the question around asymptomatic transmission. Where's the data to support that? The World Health Organization came out and said that in the beginning, that all the data was suggesting that asymptomatic transmission was not a risk. Then they forced the person to retract the statement and come back with data based on modeling, not actual data, modeling. So this is the thing. There are a number of different concerns. Like, I think in the Beyond the Pandemic series, the interview with Dr. Asaran, she was saying that in the beginning, we were following the data and we did well. And then at a certain point, we stopped moving in accordance with the data. And that's where the concerns came in. No one was concerned in the beginning.
Let me jump in. And this is probably the question of the day. Why did they switch? Is it money? Like, just beyond what? Why do you believe things changed?
Well, that's the big question, because there appears to be another agenda. Now, that agenda hasn't been communicated. So what does that mean? People can go into their head and start thinking of all sorts of things. Is it money? Have people been given incentives? Have people been threatened? Are the leaders of the country at risk because there's a larger global agenda and they're being forced to comply with it, or as they have to face consequences? You know what I mean? People talk about depopulation. There's all sorts of things that come up, but we don't really know what the agenda is. So when we talk about clarity, transparency is necessary, because if we're putting all our cards on the table, if everybody understands all the information, then we can all contribute to bringing solutions that are actually in the interest of everyone. But we're being kept in the dark. We don't know. We just see that the government seems very committed to their narrative, in spite of what information comes out, in spite of what's revealed, in spite of the data. They're just committed, but we don't know why.
We're out of time already, but before you go, just what would you, honestly, because I think one of the challenges I have is I appreciate any movement where people believe in their convictions and they're trying to right what they believe is wrong. Whether I support it or not, being what we fought with Bermudians Against the Draft, I completely understand what it's like to fight a cause. And so I get it. But there are a lot of people who have fought similar causes. And I'm going to call them selfish people, right? That have fought similar causes, that look at this and they don't either want to jump on board. They're afraid of the consequences. What would you say, for your final words today, what would you say to those who don't understand, are not interested, or just plain selfish and don't want to jump on board? And I'm not talking about the people who disagree with you. I'm talking about people who actually do, but because I remember guys saying, yeah, I don't want to go up the regiment, but now I'm putting my face out there. What are your words to them?
Well, it may sound cliche, but if you don't stand for something, we'll fall for anything. And that's literally what's happening, and fear is directly being used, right, to really control the situation. And that's a big issue. I heard you guys talking a bit about this in the beginning, about people being unwilling to put their name or their face to their comments. People are dealing with this anonymity thing. So people are willing to talk in chat groups. People are willing to put posts on social media under pseudonyms and things of that nature. But when you ask someone to come and do an interview like this and make it very clear what their position is, there's a lot of fear. So I feel like in that regard, in one sense, it's like we're in an abusive relationship with governments, because everybody seems to be afraid of repercussions. Now, so some people is also afraid of what people think about them. So my thing is this. This is something about our rights, our freedoms. We have people who are being negatively impacted. Whether you agree or not, as human beings, right, we're all part of creation. And what happens to one person, whether we recognize it or not, it affects us as well. So unless we're comfortable with people being discriminated against, unless we're comfortable with people being put into very compromising situations, then I encourage people to open up, to take the opportunity to understand people who are being negatively impacted and do what they can to support. Unity is strength. At the end of the day, whatever you're fearing, if you stand in unison with other people, what can really happen? We have to really find a means to come together. That's the only way. Otherwise, individuals just get singled out. And what if the individuals who have shown the courage to take a stand get singled out? Then where does that leave everyone else?
Well, look, we got to run, but I'll tell you this, and I'm not trying to be funny. Good luck trying to unify Black people. That's just my recent history. Good luck trying to do it. Eugene, honestly, it's always a pleasure having you. I've said this show numerous times that regardless of how people feel about you, the kind of leadership that you've shown as a part of this organization is the kind of leadership that people are looking for into politics. Again, sometimes it's not about whether people agree with you or not. The tone that you speak in, the knowledge that you bring. Not everyone's going to agree with you, but the manner in which you're doing it, that's the leadership people are looking for. So keep up what you're doing. One last question. Where can people find information for Beyond the Pandemic series?
Yeah, so go to the website, www.beyondthepandemic.tv. All the episodes are there. We've done 10 episodes with health professionals. And you can also, you can find the links there for the YouTube channel. But all the videos will be listed on the website, beyondthepandemic.tv. Yeah.
All right. Eugene Dean, Bermuda Freedom Alliance, thank you so much. Appreciate you. And keep us updated. Anything's going on your end.
All right. Give thanks to all of you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right. Time is not our best friend. We're going to take a quick break. We have to come back and bring the Heineken 0.0 daily play. If you enjoyed that conversation with Eugene Dean, please give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. Show us some love. Show us some love. We'll be right back.
Same smooth sounds, different name. BCG Radio, home of Bermuda's most engaging morning talk shows, The Daily Hour and Good Day Bermuda. Download the app, available for Android and Apple devices. BCG Radio, your station for conversations and entertainment.
Oh boy, what a conversation. Eugene Dean, again, for coming on. Appreciate him for coming on as always. Daily Playtime brought to you by Heineken 0.0. You know what it is. If you guess the answer before them, you get a little something, something. Ladies, are you ready?
But you won't.
Okay.
Let's go, Jamal.
Help them out, folks. Where would you look to find
oh yeah, you're not even gonna say I'm starting. You're just gonna start. That's what we did.
Okay.
Trying to figure out.
We're against time. We're against time. Where would you look to find out how old someone is?
Facebook.
No, driver's license.
Bingo. Sherry got it. This game's a bit older than Facebook, probably. But Facebook's the first place I look. Second question. Tell me something people have a hard time closing.
Doors. Their mouth.
Doors. I was.
Doors was number 3. Mouth number 1.
Okay.
I know.
Last one. This is so easy. Name an animal that people ride.
Horse.
There you go. Very easy. We're gonna do a quick giveaway. Michaela's gonna give us the daily inspiration. The hashtag, folks, for today's giveaway is the daily hour. So you can put the hashtag in. It's the daily hour. So your chance to win. Hashtag the daily hour. The daily hour. You know how to spell it, Michaela. Actually, what's your final thoughts on today's episode, Sherry?
Always a great conversation, Eugene. Wonderful in his opinions, and like you say, well thought out. I just feel like as a whole, we just need to get it together. As I was saying, what responsibility do Bermudians have for where we are? And I think we have to take a little bit of ownership. But I hear what Eugene says, and yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead, Kales.
Oh, you want my thoughts? I just really want to encourage people to stand firm in what you believe in. Like, put your face out there, put your name out there. Don't be afraid to go against the status quo. If that's what you believe in, if that's your conviction, stand up for it. Yeah. That's it.
I'll say this much. From the conversation to right where Eugene Dean is, and just to repeat what both of my colleagues said, if you believe in it, stand by it. Everyone's not going to agree with you, and that's not the point of anything you do. The Bermuda Freedom Alliance do have a video out. I will share it in the comments of this show. It's a really good video about unity. And I wasn't joking when I said good luck finding getting Black people to unite. It's not something we know how to do. We just don't. Show me when. Outside of the Haitian Revolution, show me when. Show me when. I know you've got some daily inspiration for us, Kales.
I sure do. Ready? All right. This is from Les Brown. You must tell yourself, no matter how hard it is or how hard it gets, I'm going to make it.
I love it. I love it. I love it. And here we go. We're going to do a little giveaway hashtag. I know some of you didn't capture, but that's okay. Here we go. From that drum roll. Give them that drum roll. Give them that drum roll.
See, that's how you do it.
Monica Dunstan is the winner. Monica
Jamal.
Please send an email to engage@thedailyhour.com. Right away, we are out of time. So on that note, my friends, we are going to say thanks again to our partners, Medical House, One Communications, and Lindos, for ensuring that we're able to do this with you on a daily basis. As always, we appreciate you, we love you, and we thank you for making us part of your daily routine. If all goes well, we'll be back to do this again with you on Monday. She's Leanna. I wanted to say happy
birthday.
For Leanna Lambert's birthday, make sure you show us some love. If you see her, no touching, remember, but just tell her happy birthday. She's Michaela Ian. She's Sherry Vanderpool. I'm Jamal Hartman. My friends, apologies about their singing earlier because they just didn't get it right.
Listen, I have a voice, okay? A voice.
I do too.
I was on form. Make it a great weekend.
And go Cleveland. I put that in there.
All right, go ahead. Cleveland Connie.